Get another show popping real quick. Got to play one of these slappers. I've been bout my papyrus since I've been in it. Put me in the debate, you know I'm gon' win it. If I scream black power, don't get timid. If I say black city, I'm talking about Kemet. If I say black city, I'm talking about Kemet. Primary research and we done pushed it to the limits. All you dudes finished. The king counting cattle up with brother Reggie. When I'm in Oakland, smoking, bro, they love the Chevy. Back in the day, it was the spokes on the chariot. Long procession when the king got carried out to every spot. Woman looking nice as ISIS. I read ancient texts, so my advice is priceless. Nubian gold, your ice don't entice us. Beating me harder than counting grains in your spices. Your heart was beating, but your brain dead. You're lifeless. Yo, they ain't nothing like us, yo. Don't try to make me mad. Make me smile and say you love me, man. That's real right there. Come on. You should listen to your main man's advice. Do a YouTube and apologize like Dice. Or the back fade coming like the Antichrist. Egyptologists sent me reading and said that I'm nice. I got a speller with your name on it. I'm like Sargon. You the type of dude wake up and your car gone. Told, cause of the money you owe. Before you stream, you should clean up that humble abode. Like Akhenaten City for my woman in gold. I keep the pseudos running, people coming in droves. You catch me on a live stream with Pan-African James. When we building, call us by our African names. I'm for the children. And ain't nothing happen to change. We on that black hype, so we still packing them things for protection. Got connections. My complexion, pure black, that's the S. Make me smile. You love me? Show me some love. All right. What up? If it's a game today, probably gonna stream to the game, come on, then go relax with the fam. Did ancient Egyptians burn people alive? I heard somebody make that claim in the last show, so I said we're gonna look that up on the next show. Play one more slapper, let's get right to it. Maybe I'll go like this.
Black people, I love you, and I love you enough to tell you, you ain't ready to revolt shit. You don't feed yourself, you don't hunt your own animals and slaughter them, you don't prepare your own meat, you don't own your own land, you don't have a seed going in your window. So when you think about revolutionaryism, and you think about fighting and dying in the street, you ain't shit.
Mike said black people ain't ready to revolt. It's a disparaging marriage and he ready to elope. Maritime coastline, deep V hull boat. Crack a nose turned up, machete to your throat. The divine snatched the arm back, she fine, she in Zinga. Moroccan mercenary got a line on Moringa. Ask Chief X to swing it. Go fund me to rock a new car or build a school like I'm Dr. Umar. Nah, go fund some more guns, banana clips and cannabis, and bury it, the jackal, Anubis. I'm cool, keep them heaters, and I'm in tie in an abyss. He ain't rapping due to libations, he just channeling this.
Hands down, you ain't ready to oppose nothing. You are as a part of this system as any white person gentrified.
I'm on life. Hovercraft propellers over swamp water. We make the thoughtful think they should have thought harder. Be aware of this. Don't blink, there's only one blunt between the careful and careless. It's hard to face it when you need a shrink or a therapist. Mental disorder ordered them to label you a terrorist. I breathe elements and I found the secret. We could all walk on water if it's ground beneath it. I carry my weapon and keep my trees, and still be Hotep and ask to rig Nasheed. 6 in the morning I greet my seed, then do everything I think I need.
I have to say this because I know our spirit and our emotions get stirred. I'm not against nobody on the panel. I'm with everybody on the panel. I'm not got you down I agree with everything my brother said about revolutionaryism. So let me ask you guys a few questions. We're in the South, we're in the heart of the South right now. Who fishes? Who knows how to fish?
Black people,
hands down. Who knows how to hunt? Let's hands down, hands down, hands down, hands down.
Black people, are you ready to revolt? Black people, are you ready to revolt?
Yeah. Back at you. But I'm just going to put the screen on the screen. Peace to the people out there. And I was just on a show. I said I had to take a break. But somebody had said something like, the ancient Egyptians burned people alive. And I said, I don't know nothing about that. Where you get that from? And they started talking about the two sources they had. So I want to go in on that real quick. After we also will look at some attestations of Nehesi, which some translate to Nubian in ancient Egyptian primary texts, I would say, or in the text corpus. We learned a lot. Excuse me. I got some more tired than I thought. We learned a lot when we look up these terms in the text corpus, because what we're doing is looking at how these terms were used. A term in the ancient Egyptian language called Nubian or Nubia. Just like it ain't no term called Egypt. But in the ancient Egyptian language, there is a term called Kemet, which means the black society, the black country, what have you. You know, but there is no Nubians. So the term we find, like right now, I'm in E.A. Wallace Buzz for a reason. I don't advise anyone ever use E.A. Wallace Buzz. I'm in E.A. Wallace Buzz to show you this phenomenon of the term Nubia and Nubian, right? And to see how it was used, weaponized, and constructed into a thing used to make people think that was no black ancient Egyptian. Now, the first thing they're showing us is a particular bow. In ancient Egyptian, a bow is called like a paget. But these would not be, they don't translate these as paget. They translate these as seti. Let's remember that. A bow is not a seti. What I mean, let me show you. If you know ancient Egyptian, this word would represent seti more than this would. But nevertheless, ancient Egyptologists, you come to this bow and they say it's like a seti bow, right? And it has to do with Ta Seti. The first known of ancient Egypt, which existed far in the south long before ancient Egypt was established. Long before the first dynasties of ancient Egypt became into being, there was a Ta Seti, right? So right now, that's kind of crazy because at the beginning, they really tell you the people that they call Nubians were there first. How do I get that from that?
because Ta-Seti existed as its own thing at times when Egypt did not. And the language left to us to read the term Ta-Seti at 3600 BC, which is what would later be called the ancient Egyptian language. So that's a lot to swallow and digest already. If your brain worked, I'm pretty sure some neurons is firing off and some thoughts is popping up. But knowing the relationship between this bow and the pseudonym Nubian will help you in this presentation. A symbol of Nubia, right, which wasn't really a thing, and it's completely untrue that it was a symbol of Nubia. What it was a symbol of, because Nubia didn't exist, it was called Set. It was a symbol of Ta-Seti. Now, if anyone wants to really know, it was the land of the shooters. We hear people talk about they shooter today, all that stuff. Well, that is what Ta-Seti was. You'll hear a lot of people call it the land of the bow. It doesn't look like the audio is going in and out on my monitor up here, but if the audio is going in and out, thanks for bringing that to my attention. I'll wait to see what others say. Is the audio going in and out? Is it? Because now I'm seeing some weird stuff. Let's say microphone is in use. Somebody tell me is the audio good? All right, we cool. So anyway, I'm waiting to get another response about the audio. Hopefully somebody, okay, they said we're good. Thank you. Thank you, Christoph. So really we learned that, and when we see that this boat, somebody else said it's going in and out. Then somebody else said it's perfect, so I don't know what to do. On some people's shows, it might be going in and out, you know. But if a lot of people saying good audio, then I don't know what to do. Maybe I should turn it down a little bit. I might turn it down. Maybe it's getting too loud for y'all systems, and it might be clipping out. All right, hopefully we cool here. And I apologize for the people who getting bad audio. All right, cool. So it says here, I mean, what we should take from this, I was breaking down how Ta-Seti is actually the land of the shooter and not really the land of the bow, but nevertheless, we'll talk about that later. Seti means to shoot. So if you came through all of these terms in here in Budge's dictionary, which is people make the mistakes of using, you'll notice that you probably ain't gonna find a term that he said means Nubian. See, he's gonna say a Nubian god, a Nubian this, but what term means Nubian? Well, the closest we'll get will be Nahasi, but he's gonna switch his language and we gotta figure out why. Just so people could get a gist of it. So I'm gonna come back here and put something different. I'm gonna put Negro, as a matter of fact. Right? Don't worry, we're gonna get to the primary sources. I started with Budges because this is where people make their errors. This ain't where you get the bombs. This is where you make your errors trying to form an argument based on Budge. Now, this is about to be kind of crazy. If you look at this NB word right here, newbie, it literally means one of gold. That's why you see two reed leaves behind it, right? It turns this word for gold into one of gold. So I say a smelter, or a foundry man, or a gold worker, a goldsmith, person related to gold, right? But notice how you got an N and a B, just like you got, if you put an A at the end of this word, you would have newbie up. Why would that be significant? First, we just talked about set and shooting, but you have to know ancient Egyptians did this all the time. So set to shoot, the area was related to Taseti, is related to being good with your arrows. But they also were some of the first to worship the god Set, right? And so when he says Set of Ombos, Ombos is Kom Ombo, which is Taseti, in Taseti, right? And that person was called Nubti. So you're starting to get some Nub in ancient Egyptian, but you won't find Nubian being a person of that area. That'll happen later. What we will find is when we investigate this word Negro, he's not at Nub anymore. You notice that? He's at, let's just only look at the consonants, he's at NHS. And so this is investigating, this is how you learn how to fix this in. Because when first thing we learned was that Taseti and the people who would be the NHS people, they existed before the people who called themselves ancient Egyptians in the same area, Taseti, right? But yet when we come to this term, you see clearly here it says Negro. Nuhes is Negro. Nehes occupied Taseti. And we know Nehes were there. Well, unless you want to say Taseti didn't have occupants. Nehes were there in the land of Ta-Nehes, which would be probably the smaller community, the greater community, and maybe Taseti be the smaller community that they occupy. But it says Negro here, so now the fix is in. Because if the Nuhes means Negro, then the ancient Egyptians had a way to tell you when they was talking about black people. So if you agree that Nehes means Negro, then you're going to be put into a lot of weird situations because you find Nehes in juxtaposition to Egyptians. It appears to be that way. But what you find out is that's not actually the case when you further the research. But let's keep going because we don't intend to look at E.A. Wallace Budge all day. I just want to show you how they use this, right? Here we go again. Nasi. Probably be Nahesi. He of the Sudan, a Sudani or a Negro. Why is this definition halfway correct? Because some of the areas of Nehes would encompass the Sudan, but it also will go as far south as you could think. Because the true meaning of Nehes is simply going to be rooted in a word for southerner. You see, Nehesu is the Sudani tribes in the Tuat, the results of the masturbation of Ra. So this is what he wrote right here. And also he got Nisu Hetepu, who are the friendlies in the Sudan. These are all his definitions. Not appropriate, not accurate. Negress, a negress. So when the ancient Egyptians said Nehesi, they were talking about a negress, which means they weren't Negro. This would be the way they weaponized this term. But I want to show you how the difference between what you get when you look through an E.A. Wallace Budge book like this and you switch up and go to the ancient Egyptian text corpus is going to show you that somebody lying or the fix is in. Because what you do when you come here is take the same root consonants of that term, pop it right here in capital H and an S, click manual decodage, hieroglyphic, and what at first it's going to take you to dictionary entries. This is how people get confused about the use of the TLA. Once you come to the dictionary entry, I right click and I translate to English. And you notice you could be losing something when you do that. So if you're well versed enough to keep it in the German, then do that. Right, but now you can start looking at different dictionary entries with those consonant combinations. And it's going to start revealing some stuff. Where we have a capital N, a lowercase h, and an S, and that all means something. And they're not telling us what these terms, a place name and a divine name, right? We come to the third one, it's written in the glyphs the same way, but it's a sting from an insect, to sting. Now, this is the first thing you want to learn when at least looking at the TLA. When you come over here, it's telling you how many attestations they have of that word being used in that way. So right now, if we're doing etymology, or if we even want to know what does this word nehes really mean, we would probably say we don't want to rely on the entry that only has one attestation, because we're going to get beat up as soon as somebody start refuting our argument. How is you going to define something off one attestation? That attestation would have to be ambiguous because it's the only one you got. You got to be able to work a series in order to define this. So let's keep going. Now we got Nehes as Nubia, NHS with all lowercase, and they have 15 attestations for that. They're saying they can show you 15 times in ancient Egyptian text when this NHS consonant combination was used to talk about what they say is Nubia. So now if you wanted to investigate those 15, you click here and now you're in the text corpus. I mean, before we was just looking at dictionary entries. So it's significant to notice because these are ordered in chronological order. So the first one you're going to come across will be the first use of that term they have in the text corpus. So now if it says here, these Nubian foreign lands, and we could go over the metametry, these Nubian foreign lands and something is lost, who were in the narrow doorway. All right. Well, they have this classified, and they're being honest, as Nile in contact. Why would? Because they're in contact with other people. They're clearly showing you Nubian foreign lands who were in the narrow doorway. They didn't say nothing. When we can look at the whole sentence, and I'll let you know that Pepi II don't got nothing negative to say about Nubians. Right? Nor could you use any of these attestations to say they are talking about Negroes. So then we see the transliteration is NHS for Nehes, but here's what I want y'all to see also. The S ain't even there. It's in brackets, so all they wrote was a neighbor, which I was trying to tell people is the root to the term. If the S is in brackets, they don't got an S on this wall. He just knew the S should be there. It was just a neighbor. So they used the, and then they say something is lost and we got a W. So Nehesu, right? And we could keep going. Let me see. The foreign lands who were in the narrow doorway. Now this is, I'll go to the next one, sorry, for that reading. So Pepi II intended nothing different, and I can't tell that from what was said there, he would be talking about Negroes. Now, keep in mind, this is all scholars had to work with to form their conclusions. Now it says something blank, and notice that the Nehes is not there either. It's broken out of the Medu-Neter. But they say they could tell it's Nehes there, and it says something to Nubia to steal all their grain passing through. How did he get to the Amarna period? From Pepi II all the way to the Amarna period. So that's something you would investigate. And of these 16 attestations, they skipped the whole Middle Kingdom. Nevertheless, they saying someone is going to Nubia or to Nubia to steal all their grain. You keep going, you're going to say to Nubia to steal their grain. Nubia is taught the language of Egypt, Syria, and all the other foreign countries. I remember somebody tried to use that to say that Nubians were translators, not learners. Here it seems that they learned in this attestation. I'm not saying this was all throughout history. Teachings of Ani, right? And okay, so as they want you to believe they're talking about Negro. This isn't the most common use of the term. If we keep going, we see one pop up more frequently used, and is used in 78 attestations, right? This is Nehesi, right? This is the term that Egyptologist tells us translates back to Nubian. They're not 100% incorrect with that statement, but since they don't mention periodization and how things happen, at what time period is their statement true, then they mislead you into believing that at the times when ancient Egyptians existed, they had some thing called Nubians that was different than everybody else. That was just not true. Even Nehesi, if we look through these attestations, you're going to be very confused. Because if you believe what they say, that it mean a Nubian, then you're going to have issues as soon as we click this button. Why? Because this text corpus is in chronological order. So the first attestation we come across is the oldest one in history that they have talking about Nehesi. So they busted out. Now I'm going to take myself off the screen so y'all can see the full source. So if you're doing this work, as soon as you come to this, you already you got 5 different things to say they on some bullshit. And I don't know if everybody notices it right now, but this does not say Nehesi Hotep. You have to be able to read it in order to get past them. I started off by showing you how they do the fix. Remember there was a bow in this E.A. Wallace Budge book. Come on, man. I'm going to go right back to Nubian so you can remember. You're going to be like, damn, you like a detective. Nah, this stuff happens haphazardly when you just peep game and you studying. It's not like I'm doing nothing you wouldn't see if you didn't. If you spent time looking at this. See, look. See that bow? Nubian, right? Well, let's come over here. What do you not see here? What you don't see is the word Nehesi. See how they fooled you? This word, if I click it, I'm willing to bet money I don't got. Let's say I'll bet everything that this don't say Nubian when you click it, because they made a mistake. They're not really making a mistake. They're trying to fool you. Watch this. Oh, see, I told you. See how they did? Now I know it's intentional. See, some things you can figure. Look, I didn't click NHSI. I clicked a bow. But watch the bow disappear when I click it. Watch. See how I twist the different glyphs? So somebody linked the glyph for Seti to Nehesi inside of their system. I gotta prove that even further, because you should be able to see this without it lying like it's saying Nehesi. Everybody who read the glyphs clearly know this say, at the most, Taseti Hotep. But at the least, Set Hotep. And if you want to be literal, you're going to say Pajet Hotep. You're never going to say Nehesi Hotep. Nevertheless, what I want you to come away from is in the time period of King Jer, which is probably like first or second dynasty, we find in the Abydos cemetery, right, a person who they want to tell us was called Nehesi Hotep, which would mean the Nubian one is at peace. But we would probably say he was Seti Hotep, which would probably mean the one of Taseti was at peace. Far more accurate. Nubian ain't Nehesi. So you would say that the one member of Nehesi is at peace, but accurately, if somebody related to Taseti is at peace. Let's keep going. Here they go again. And this bow is turned a different direction. Let me see if they link this bow to Nehesi. Or if they don't. See, they did it again. So the bow disappears and you add a complete different term. So you can't really figure out what the bow means. In that, I'm criticizing the scholars in the TLA who linked this bow, which I'll reveal later because I know the term, right? They linked it to Nehesi to further reiterate their stance that these is a different people group, right? So now this is the second attestation, and this is say the Nubian one has come. Don't worry about this cloudy itty that just translated backwards. This will be like the Nubian has come. Now this is in a cemetery B between the tombs of Semerchet and Ka, right? So there was a Nubian buried in between these tombs early on, when they want you to think like, oh, they was Negroes and this was some other people. You have to look at what these attestations tell us, right? Now let's look at this one. And I don't even like this one, but you have to come across it. It says 17,000 Nubians were captured. Why do I not like this attestation? Because I'll be looking at the primary. So we're not at the primary yet. And let me come on the screen and tell y'all something, just so you can see if I'm blinking hella much when I look at y'all. I'm just playing. Let me stop hoorah home. What I mean is, when you look at this attestation here and you try to investigate it further, they want us to believe that on a rock inscription of the old kingdom in Nubia at Kor el Quabia, whatever, there's one sentence of text on a rock. And the one sentence on the rock, two sentences. You could call it two sentences. This is the two sentences. The rear eastern region, the administrator of the royal fortune, Sabui, 17,000 Nubians were captured. That could completely be the case. I'm not saying it wasn't. I just was like, for real? They didn't write nothing else? That's completely useful if you trying to make this seem the way you trying to make it seem. But nevertheless, we don't throw out any attestation. This will be the first one out of the three that we looked at that you could say that will be considered negative. Because obviously, if he got buried in the cemetery, he was a boss. If he got buried in the cemetery, he was a boss. Now we got them saying that they captured, and this word could mean to seize, Negeret, but that could also mean the Greek. But you're not about to greet 17,000. That don't make no sense. So what do they say here? To hold fast, to seize, 17,000 Nubians were captured. Fourth dynasty. Then you come to this, and all of a sudden, the Nubians is back, esteemful enough to be buried or to be mentioned in the mastaba of Sheshat Hetep, right? In a sacrificial chamber in the west hall, the west wall The north false door, and we'll talk about sacrificial chamber talk. The north false door, the right outer post, and lower register. Where we find the name of, now look, they got different glyphs here. Let me make this bigger and me smaller. They got different glyphs here. It's not, his name is not Seti Heretsis or whatever. Heretsis, whatever. His name is Nahesi. See how they spelled it out? And this is the someone they call, they're trying to make us believe they're saying a Negro. Now, what am I arguing that they're saying? So, in this argument, not even an argument, but just in this attestation, I would say the Southerner, and the reason why I'm gonna let you know why. A Southerner or one from that Southern people group dealing with geography and not race. That don't mean that the ones who was not from the Southern people group wasn't black. This don't say nothing about Negro. Only white people told you that. When we go through the primaries, we can see a use case for it being used as a Southerner, and we can see a use case for it as a particular people group. But this person was probably Nahesi Cheresi. I don't want to spell it like that. If you read the glyph, you see her chessie, right? But if he had a grave inscription in the Old Kingdom, I think he might have been an esteemed person. Keep going. The Nubian, the follower of Mary, right? Shimshu Mari. So there was a Nubian who was buried in the mastaba, or mentioned in the mastaba of Nisut Nefer, right? Who was a follower of Shari. They keep saying the sacrificial chamber, right? To keep that going too. But we like looking at all of that. I don't have to keep going. The Nubian, the sealer Senebi. Now this one is very good because they gave him a position. But let's not confuse this sealer with being the same sealer as the treasurer. Since this is found in the sacrificial chamber, there's also another sealer who has to do with embalmings, right? Meaning he seal up your body and stuff. So now I don't want to go off on a tangent, but I want to look at, I know that in most use cases, they're not going to be talking about him. They're going to be talking about the sealer of the royal seal of the king. See, cylinder seal, the sealer is cylinder seal. I'm just looking at how they looking at this. And I'm going to go back to the last term after that. Then we could go into burning and sacrificing people. Right? Because there's something crazy that we get out of this. The sealer and the mortuary priest. I wanted to come here because I definitely know that some people think that this sealer is like they think this sealer is like, he could be an official in the officialdom, but when we start to read funerary texts that not are just funerary texts, embalming rituals, you find out that the sealer actually be cutting people belly open and stuff. And this is probably some of the confusion to why they're talking about the sacrificial bearer. But whatever. See, now the keeper of the seals is somebody different. See, don't tell me this is the keeper of the seals, the sealer and the mortuary priest, because I know this tradition. The sealer and the mortuary priest and the deceased is the only ones allowed in the duat when they're reading these particular texts. So now we see the meaning of this term switching. But anyway, I'm going to go back to what I was initially doing. Nahesi. Right? Because we're going to come across one attestation in a minute. And what it's going to say is Nubians and Asiatics burning here. And that's going to be our segue into the next part of this conversation. I seen all this stuff years ago, bro. All right, now let's slow down. Because look at the TLA kind of like telling on itself. Right here, they're saying in the whatever dynasty this was, Nahesi meant Nubian. The Silas and Nebi. So it was a Nubian Silla. But then right here, it don't mean Nubian no more. See that? It just means Southerners. And that's in the 6th dynasty. So what do it mean? Because all Southerners don't got to be Negro. One thing you got to know, that Negro is not good. Take Negro out, Nubian and all that stuff, throw that stuff away. Nahesi is the best. If you find yourself saying Nubian like I often find myself do, don't allude to nobody that is a particular race. So that they can say Nubians was the Negroes and the Egyptians were not. So this word is Nahes, the same word they translate to Nubian, but in this attestation, you don't see nothing about Negroes or Nubians. You see Southerners. Why is that? It is because of what we first learned when I first start talking. Look, Egypt known map. Because the Southerners is going to be Nahesi for multiple reasons. Because the first nome of Egypt, which they existed in before Egypt was ever a thing, is in the South. Kom Ombo, right here. Remember I said that Kom Ombo? Kom Ombo is Taseti. Now, if you are of this population of people, no matter where anybody else is in Egypt, you're a Southerner. Can you get that? Like, that's just so easy. This is the southmost point of Egypt. So even if you in Edfu, but you from Kom Ombo, you from the south. Kom Ombo, Nubians, right here in Gold Country. All Nubia represented, but I want to keep going until we get, until we get to this one attestation. But so here you see that it really just means like the Southerners. Here's another attestation. The Southerners, when they travel north, see, it's easy to pull this one because you find north and south in juxtaposition to each other. Look, now look, and every Nubian woman from Yam, so they use this to translate to say every Negro and every Negro woman from Yam and Ertet and Wawa. Yam, Ertet, Wawa are all in the South. I was just reading that last comment. These are all southern places. Every Nubian man and every woman of Wawa. This is not talking about Negroes. This is talking about Southern people who exist in these Southern tribes. 6th dynasty. Well, I'm waiting to come across the attestation with the Nubians and the Asiatics burning here. So I'm going to just skip down some. Those all still say the same thing. I never let any product go lost to any acculturated foreigner or Nubian. Right? A lot of those translations superimpose. Here it is. A lot of those translations superimpose the thoughts of the translator back onto the text. And if they thought it said something, now that's what you thought. So here you go. Where Joey at? Oh, Joey missing in action. See, he was the one who was supposed to be standing behind this pseudo claim right here. He gonna get in the chat talking about ancient Egyptians burnt people. And they burned them alive. Remember, and I kept saying burned alive just to reiterate that you said burned alive, bro. Where your sources for that? He said he had 2 sources, Joey. Where you at, Joey? Because what I told you, I said that first attestation you about to be pulling up, man, I came across that years ago. It's all broke up. And you read the meta, you tell me you get what they saying from that. So supposedly, they don't even know because it's broken off right there. So they just putting the Hesse in there. They're just guessing that this word in front of this determinative is Nahesi. So they can put Nubians there with a question mark. Now the word they're using for Asiatic has 2 question marks in it in the transliteration too, but not in the translation. They saying that this say Asiatics, because this is Aamu. Now that could be problematic, but that definitely ain't Asiatics. That's more like foreigners. Now, all right, I'll bring you in here because you're gonna if you can read it, I'm about to bring you in here. Don't poke your chest out, boy, because you about to fall back. Let me see. Hold on. Bring you in here, boy. Yeah. Hold on, I'm trying to get the checks open for you. Open the link. Let me try to share this. I gotta go to YouTube, I guess. Hold on. YouTube got the next stream popping, the last stream stopping. Oh, come on, man. Come defend your theory. Telling people the ancient Egyptians burned people alive. I just shared the link. Feel free to hit the link, y'all. It's all good. But let's get back to business. So he formed his conclusion. One of the conclusions, because he said he had 2 sources, so he wants to read the other one. But what we're about to do is scrutinize this one first, right? And I don't see this. We see a fire blazing at the end of this term, Wabaj, which probably could be used to say to burn. Let's click it. Somebody just hit the track, right? To burn, to heat, to burn, ignite, to heat, to burn, to combust, to heat. All right. Peace, who just came in the chat. Who just came in? My man, Eloy, what's up?
That's me, Smash.
Oh, okay. What you doing? What's that new name about?
I don't know. I'm gonna share the Lichcom source, and I'm gonna share the Lichcom source, and you can tell me if I'm reading it wrong.
Hold on. Before we get to the lithium source,
This is Joey here, you know.
Yeah, I know. We got you sound better on that phone or whatever. I'm gonna share this screen. First, let's deal with this source because you said you got 2 of them. So I got one of them on the screen, and I'm telling you why it was problematic to conclude from this source that they burn people alive. So, and we can go over the meta like I was just beginning to do. But I'm just going to scroll up a bit. It says, who made the slaughter of the attackers? So he slaughtered some attackers, right? Those who took away thief have fallen for them. Their images of power more than the images of Wajet, who gave the rest of the harvest grain. What about those who, and it was all blank. He sees that the commanders whose faces would not be lowered Their light, who has caused that anger rages, is all broken up. The protector of the fathers who existed before. For her, I repeat, the birth anew. Then it's broken up and it has a word that they can't even verify as Nubians. Then another term they can't verify as Asiatics. And it says burning here. So where is the here? First, let me ask you, since you wanted to come do your poke your chest out metal nature, where is the term here in this text? Before we go through each term to show just how many of them aren't there. And I'm going to make it bigger on the screen. Where is the term here in this meta-nature sentence? I'm starting with the easiest one. You see the term here? Oh, you're on mute, bro. Which one of these meta-nature glyphs is the word here?
Smash, I told you I could stand to be corrected. So if I'm wrong, I'm gonna take that L on that.
But you might not be wrong yet. We're gonna go through a logical, we're gonna walk it down to see if you're wrong. And I'm just asking a series of questions. You don't got a fold already. Because you could be right. But I want to see the way we logically go.
I'm just saying right now. I'm just saying to you right now, Smash, I could possibly be wrong. And I'm okay with being wrong.
All right, so let's see if you're wrong or not. So you know how to read. I'm just asking first a simple question. Out of these glyphs, which word, because it says Nubians and Asiatics burning here. So which word they got for here? You want to admit that word ain't there? Did I lose you, Joey? I can't hear you anymore. So I don't know. Is that me? Am I disconnected? Man, I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm disconnected.
I would think.
Oh, you were quiet for hell long. Why you wasn't saying nothing?
The snake and this head would mean burning, right?
Oh, hold on. You got so quiet, burning, right? Bro, that I thought the system glitched. So either you was Googling
the word with the ooh chick in front of it.
No, I'm not letting you off that easy. Because it was a long silence.
Is it
It's crickets mean something on the internet. You're using that time wisely. So you use that silence wisely. You went to go look up the word, huh? That's fine. I'm not tripping. But this is what I'm saying. Remember when I said don't poke your chest out on the mother?
My computer's giving trouble.
Huh?
My computer's giving trouble.
What you say?
My computer has an echo.
Oh, okay.
My computer has an echo.
Oh, okay. It might be my broadcast messing up. Somebody said they was getting in and out audio earlier. And maybe something's going on. My Wi-Fi signal looked kind of low. I'm trying to take some accountability for what's going on, but what appears to have happened is that you got asked a question that for some reason you just didn't want to say, I don't know, and then you tried to look up something, and you looked up the other word. Because I asked...
Here's what I'm going to do, Smash. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out, and I'm going to come back on my phone, right?
It might be me. YouTube, can y'all hear? I'm going to look at my phone. You might be fronting. Hold up. Let me let you know if you're fronting before you go out. I'm looking right at my phone. It could be me, though. It could be me, Brother Joey. You feel me? It often could be. But listen how clear you hear it. See, you fronting. Nah, man. That shit loud and clear. So go on and fix your signal, because now I peep gang, bro. Like, don't be doing that technical difficulty shit. I just offered for you to decline from this whole discourse earlier. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I'm right here. I ain't going nowhere, Smash.
Okay.
I ain't run nowhere.
Thank you. Now let's go back with this the simple way. I'm saying we could get off the mat. We ain't got to be in the dojo. But you was just like, I can read it. And I'm like, bro, you talking to me and you telling me you can read it. So basically something about the way you read it gonna make it turn out different than the way that I'm reading it. So let's do it. No word is on here for here. Do we agree? Or is there a word that represents because it says Nubian, the Asians burning here. This is your source to say that they burnt people up in ancient Egypt. Then we'll go to the next source.
What I said was I'm gonna bow out on that one because it's clear to me I might have been mistaken on that one. So I ain't gonna argue with you on that one. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna read it to you. I can't show it to you.
You want to share your screen? You can't share your screen.
Hold on. It's not on my phone, but I could quote to you where it's from, and I could read the source to you. But I can't show it because it's not.
So before you do it, let me ask you a question. Is it a European secondary source?
No, this is for Mayim Lichkam.
So it is a European secondary source.
It would be, yes.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. It says it was in Demotic from Mayim Lichkam, but I would think that this would be Budge quoting it, right? It says, Pharaoh asked how many things, and he answered, the Pharaoh asked him many things, and he answered them all. Of the chief priest physician, and the chief physician did nothing without consulting Harisis, son of Ramos, about it. Now, I must admit that there's some portion missing before the word Pharaoh, right? So it says, Pharaoh asked him many things, and he answered them all, and there's some text missing. Of the chief physician, and the chief physician did nothing without consulting Harisis, son of Ramos, about it. A few days later, it happened that the chief physician went to his father, Harsisis, son of Ramos, was made chief physician, and he was given everything that belonged to the chief physician entirely. And his brothers were made chief physicians without fee. And Pharaoh did nothing without consulting Harisius, son of Ramos, about it. And after it happened, one day that Shishang, son of Genefi, was in great trouble, he thought to himself, saying, what I should like to do is go to Memphis and stay with Harisis, son of Ramos. I have been told he has been made chief physician entirely, and perhaps the God would put it in his heart to do what is right. He went away from Heliopolis without informing any man on earth of his going. He found a ship which was sailing. There's some lines missing. Stay here in Memphis with me. There's some lines missing. Your people, 3 times a month, Shishang, son of Chejanufu, stayed with Harisis, son of Ramos. And some lines are missing to Heliopolis to his people.
Man, you doing readership. Where is he going to burn somebody?
Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second.
See, let me explain what readership is for people. When people don't got a source, they often just turn to something and just start reading. And they'll fool people who aren't astute to thinking that they got a source.
So I was reading what the text said, Smash. I didn't make it up. So
I know, but read the part that's relevant to our conversation.
Hold on. Give me a second. Let me look first. Give me 1 second.
It's all good. Take your time.
Right. I don't want you to think I'm just making up something in my head.
I know you're not, but I think that you just started reading the source at a point that ain't relevant to what we talking about. No. Read when they got burned.
I definitely did do that. That's the whole blast tip there.
Oh, don't tell me you can't find it, bro.
No. I got it. Oh my gosh, bro. You see? That was happening when you started to talk crazy, yes?
I just had to light up on you because I'm having to feel it. You ain't got it, bro.
Nah, don't do that to me, Smash. Nah, Smash. Don't do me that, man.
I'm saying.
Why?
Man, you know how to be an archer. You gotta have you gotta have that bow. Hit me with it. Bow. Shut up, Smash. Bow. It's right here.
Here we go. Pharaoh said to him the words, since they were said to us, did you say them to any man at all? He said, I said them to Ankh-Shishong, son of Chajanefi, a priest of Pri, who is here in Memphis with me. Pharaoh said to him, Ankh-Shishong, son of Tanafiji, who is he to you? He said, his father was a friend of my father. His heart was much attached to him. Pharaoh said, let Ankh-Shishong be brought. They ran for Ankh-Shishong. They ran in return, bringing him before Pharaoh at once. Pharaoh said to him, Ankh-Shishong, did you eat my bread and hear evil against me without coming to inform me of it, saying, they are conspiring against you to kill me, conspiring against you to kill you? Is what you are doing in return to have me killed by your face, my great Lord? I did all I could with him, but did not give me an answer. I knew what these matters. I knew that these matters would not be hidden from Pharaoh. As soon as he had said this, Pharaoh had an altar of earth built at the door of the palace. He had Parisi, son of Ramos, placed in the fire together with all his people and every man who had conspired in Pharaoh's doom. Pharaoh had Ankh-Shishong taken to the house of detention of Daphne, a personal servant, a staff bearer, a man of Pharaoh's house, and assigned him, and his food was brought to him daily. So there's the portion there where it says that.
Thank you. So Ankh-Shishong supposedly built an altar and had all these people killed, says this source.
And
that's what the Metal Netra should read.
Accused of not telling. And as soon as he said this to Pharaoh, Haris, son of Ramos, was placed in the fire together with all his people and every man who had conspired in Pharaoh's doom.
That's a
so
good
they threw all of them in a fire at the door.
Huh?
Of his.
So how you want to investigate that? I wouldn't say, I mean, I know Lithium does some good translations. I wouldn't think she would be trying to make that up. She might be off on a few words. How would you want to investigate that? Because from what they're saying, it seems to be a fanciful story. How is it categorized? Is this supposed to be true?
I would think so.
So let's look that up. So, because we can see
I would think so.
We're gonna see, but you could probably see what type of a tale is that supposed to be. And I'm about to look up the tale of Shishong to see if we can find it in the text corpus.
Okay, but as you say, I'm reading that there, so I don't want you to think I just made that up.
No, you read the part that was relevant too. That's all we want you to do. I appreciate that. So it's kind of helpful to have a starting point because we got the name Shishong, but we don't got none of the Metal Netra, so we don't know what none of the terms they're using is, right? And so I don't even know how I'm about to get to his name. Cause I don't remember how he spelled it in Metal Netra.
Okay, I can't help you there.
Pardon me?
I said I don't think I can help you there at all.
Well, we got to work on it together, so let's think about it. How you think that'll be transliterated? Shishong.
ANKSQS. I'm just guessing.
All right, let me see. Let's look at the metadata. SESHONK RQ.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, hold on. SESH. What? ONQ? How do you spell Shishong? Yeah, that's how they spell it. Now let's look at his Metal Netra. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. All I could do is scrutinize the text. If the text seemed to say it read that way, then it would read that way. I'm not qualified to discredit Marianne Lithium's reading off of what you said. She said they built the altar and put them in there. All I would question is whether she is trying to say that really happened or not. You see what I'm saying? And if they're trying to say, yeah, this is supposed to be a true account, then it seemed like you would have a source. I wouldn't stand on hers. I would go to the primaries and try to read it. But that's all we need is to qualify some of the shit we saying is to present a credible source. I don't want to disqualify Lithium to say, she just saying that. Because she could read Metal Netra and she did some accurate translations. And so it's on us to look at the primary to see if we getting the same thing up out of that. Chris says in the harem conspiracy, some of the perpetrators' punishment was for them to be burned, their ashes scattered on the street for people to travel upon them forever. There you have it. That seemed like a third source, right?
Right.
But
If you look,
so let's go one by one. Let's look at what you're let's try to see if we can find, because they're gonna show us Shashunk in the hieroglyphs.
but it's in Demotic, you know. It would originally be in Demotic.
So that text is demonic text.
Yeah, they say it's a Demotic text from the late period, probably Ptolemy or something like that. So it would be in Demotic. If you type in Ankh Shashank, they will show you a picture of it in the British Museum, but it's definitely not in Medulla check.
You got that? You want to look at that? I'm trying to find a way we can find the primary of the story that she was talking about. So my way to go look at it was going to be, oh yeah, he said look up the word altar in the TLA. That'll be a good one. First, I'm gonna look it up in the dictionary. Yeah, because that is true. If they said they put them on the altar, that's gonna lead us back to that text. And that text don't got none of the metadata, so you don't know what word she's talking about for altar, huh?
Nah, they said it was originally a Demotic text.
Oh yeah, originally demonic.
So you probably
Do I need to spell altar different? Because they're only giving us alter ego and stuff like that.
it's ALTAR, right?
Yeah, I'll put ER. Yeah,
But I think it does have
oh
Demotic
yeah,
text.
AR. So that's what I need to spell it different. So now we're gonna have too many words that we're gonna be looking through, because they could damn near call an altar hotel.
Right.
But the most common term we're getting is this one, Hawut. So I'm gonna try to look that up. But I mean, what can I say? I'm not gonna try to argue past what appears to be evident. You see what I mean?
Let me read what it says here. This would be from the British Museum. It says the papyrus from the instruction of Ankh Shashank from Egypt, late Ptolemaic period, perhaps 100 to 300 BC. A wisdom instructional text. The instruction of Ankh Shashank was written in the wisdom tradition. According to this, they said it has a fictional narrative prologue, which gives a context for the main part of the document. The text is damaged in places, but the sense is mostly clear.
Hold on, they got a what? They got a fictional dialogue.
According to this, it says
so you gotta say that in big bold letters.
It says the instructions of Ankh Shashank was written in the wisdom tradition. According to them, it has a fictional narrative.
That's what we was trying to investigate. Thanks for being honest enough to read that. So you're saying that it has the dialogue is fictional.
According to the British Museum.
That's perfect, because that's kind of like what I want to know. Is that a real story?
It said it has a fictional narrative prologue, which gives a context for the main part of the document. The text is damaged in places, but the sense is mostly clear. So they're saying that it's supposed to have a fictional narrative prologue on it.
But I don't
know what that means.
If some people got burned, I'm not over here trying to stop that from happening. I'm trying to make sure when we say it, we base that on something tight. So the first one wasn't cool because that Nubians burning here. I wouldn't accept that one. But then this one that you are presenting from Lithium seems to be more on point. When I look up the word altar in here, just putting altar, I need to put the AR, not the ER.
Yeah.
And
they're saying it has a fictional narrative prologue. I don't know what that means.
So how about this great flame on the altar? You want to look at that one? There's only two of them. See if some people is on them great flames at the altar. May the great one ward off the great fire from thereby. They smell the incense that is burned on the consuming flame and the cattle and birds that are on the flame. So we got cattle and birds on the flame. I want to see the people on the flame. But Brother Chris gave us a attestation to it.
All right, so it might be. So, according to this, it seems like you're trying to say that, according to them, they think this was a fictional story. They don't think it really happened.
So your source is from a fictional story.
According to what it's saying here, they say something about a fictional narrative.
Thanks for being honest, bro.
What that mean, I don't know. That's what they're saying here. So
thank you for letting us know that, because we was gonna find that out anyway.
No, well, that's what they're saying here. So I guess the British Museum's supposed to know more than me, right?
Well, they definitely know more than me because they got the PhDs and stuff.
All right, so all right. I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to go lay down on this one, Smash.
Nah, because we're gonna pull it up on the we're not done. We can see it in the text corpus in a minute. It's gonna say Shoshone. Watch. But at least we figured out that second source, when they say they put all his men in the, I'm like, what? We would have found that altar. We would have found that. How they put hella people, men in something and burn them and in front of their thing, and that ain't got found.
Well, if it's coming up, you're coming close to it because they're saying this is the Ptolemaic period.
So as I go through these, I'm just trying to look at the use of this word for sacrifice stone and see if burning is in any of it. People are being placed on these altars, but there ain't no word for burning around them. I mean, that don't mean it didn't happen, yo. Look, but ain't nobody saying nothing about burning nothing on the altar. They're saying provisions for the altar. And sometimes provisions for the offering sacrifices to the funerary pyramid, gracing the dining table, make excellent monuments to my majesty. I mean, I don't know if I would want to look at what Chris said in the harem conspiracies. You want to pull up the harem conspiracies if you got time while I'm looking through the TLI? Because maybe they talking about, even that's the.
Yeah, man, I might have to.
I don't know, man. I'm just saying, out of all the texts I've seen, I haven't seen that be like some abundant practice of how to get rid of people. But if it happened, it happened. You feel me?
All right.
The royal sacrifice of Amun-Ra, Lord of the Thrones, 2 lands of Montu, the Lord of Thebes, by giving funerary offerings of bread, beer, cattle, fowl, incense, and water. Man, they're not gonna put no people in that and burn the people. But that's some type of a punishment for whatever happens. Hey, people probably got rid of people in all kind of ways. Threw them to the crocodiles. Is that better? But at least you wasn't, I gotta give you your credit, you're a good researcher and you wasn't completely baseless on what you were saying. I think you was really confident in that secondary source, which further resource let us know that they even said it was fictional, right?
According to them, yes, it wasn't a real story.
But you do good research, bro.
All right, man. You see, now you make me feel bad. I feel like you give me a backhanded compliment. I was so sure that you kind of.
No, that ain't backhanded compliment. It was just to say that just because we talk about one issue that you might be right or wrong with, don't mean that your overall efforts are not to be acknowledged. That's what I'm saying. It's like somebody who worked on your car hella long and then they didn't fix the car. You start feeling guilty. Damn, you know they worked on the car for hella long. You want to acknowledge that. You know what I'm saying? Even if it ain't fixed.
I think I might look a little more into to see if I get a more primary source that I could read.
Well, we looking now. I can look up all the words for burn. Right now, we looking at the word for altar to see if it comes across any type of burnings happening on these altars. There's plenty of words for altars, but we just doing a preliminary little chill research. Every time I see altar, you see bread and meat and stuff. You see what I'm saying? Now, if you see altar and then see man, look, to perform rituals for the ancestor gods, they equipped the dining altar. But I mean, I equipped the sacrificial altar with bread. When they put the man on that altar, let me know. What he just did, Chris did in the harem conspiracy. Let me try to pull that up. First, I gotta see what they're talking about to see if we can. It's Ramses the Third, I guess. So we're gonna try to find this. Do they got any translations of it on here? The Judicial Papyrus of Turin. You think that's it? Revisiting the Harem Conspiracy. I'm just trying to see if I can find some other sources on it. Let's see, text. Then I'm about to go watch this. Is a game on today, yes or no? I think there's a game on today. It gotta be, because it's Sunday. They're not gonna waste that. Joe, you read up on this harem conspiracy before?
No.
Maybe it is the Judicial Papyrus of Turin, so that's what we're looking for. Let me see where that's lodged at, man. I'm pretty sure it's in the TLA. What I need to go learn is how to find everybody whatever. But I mean, I can't say anything, just to be honest. Even if that story that you brought was a fictional, they thought about it. They thought about it in the fiction. Feel me? And even that thought in that fiction came from somewhere. Like, so what if the stories, if somebody say they drove a car in a fictional story, at least we know people knew about driving cars, right? So if they say somebody got burnt in a fictional story, they still knew something about people getting burnt. That's all I can just be honest about.
All right, man. I'm gonna keep looking, but see if I can get a more primary translation.
What you say?
I said I'm gonna keep looking, see if I could get a more primary translation.
All right, come on. Let's look back at some glyphs. Cool. Yeah, I ain't tripping, but I ain't rocking with that. I wouldn't teach that they burn people off this limited information we got. But you know.
All right. Well, if they say it's a story, if they say it's a fictional story, I'm gonna retract my statement and I'm gonna apologize until I could prove that it was something otherwise.
All right, let's do this. Don't even trip, but that's good for the people to know. Let's look at the term that they used on this attestation that says Nubians and Nubians and Asiatics burning here. That was the first one we addressed, and what we need to see is how that word burning is used in other instances. Because if it got people on the, see right here, and you said it was this term and you'd be correct, it got 75 occurrences. Let's see if anything else that got burnt was human. Right? People stay away from me because I'm a purified person amongst the authorities. So notice here, they didn't use the word as burnt in this sentence, they used it as purified. See what I'm saying? So, and that was in the Old Kingdom. For I am a burning one amongst the terrible ones. So, I don't think oh my gosh. I don't think they talking about him really burning. I think this is metaphoric burning, but let's keep going. You could say, no, I'm wrong with this. He's a burning one among the terrible ones, but none of those words are there. Only among. So let's see. That's where they got it from. For I am a burning one amongst the terrible ones. Do we think that he's saying that he got burnt because he was a terrible person? If so, we could click into the text.
Nah,
I
we're
want
not
to
going
click
that
into
far.
that text, bro. Let's get the
No.
context of that. I am looking for someone sent against our terror. I am the greatest of the great in flight in the great fight. Do not break the throwing sticks of self because those who are in battle. I am one with the snorting face. I've been seeing people with that face. I'm in the midst of the excitement on the day when the two breasts of Reditha sees the one who is in the iron trap. Let's go back up. This is the text. Oh, for I am burning one amongst the terrible ones. Yeah, he definitely ain't saying that he on fire. He's saying I'm on fire like I'll be hot. You don't disagree? He's definitely
Yeah,
not.
yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with you. The
He's
hot tempered,
definitely
I
not
agree
a
with you.
burning one like that. Yeah. So let's keep going. Because they say in that one instance,
Well, Smash,
pardon?
well, Smash, as you say, at least I feel about it, Smash. When I first started on here, I wasn't even in the game to be corrected. So being able to be corrected is an improvement as far as
It's
I'm
all
concerned.
good. We still working it out together. This one says she tends to burn. What is they talking about that in there? It's 12
You know,
Dynasty.
I can't see it, Smash.
You can't see? I thought I was sharing the link. I thought I'm sharing the screen. She tends to burn. I don't think they talking about she on fire. All right, look, it was consumed fire in which they burned. Now there you go. It was a consumed fire in which they burned. Let's go see if they're talking about people. You feel me?
You know, I'm seeing two double screens on there, right? With a set of lines going up and down.
I don't know what's going on, but hopefully the people can see it on YouTube, and hopefully you can see it. Huh. So it was a torch that they made for him. They burned brightly after I had lit the fire basin for that reason. It was a consumed fire in which they burned. See, he talking about the torch. See how somebody would have took this attestation, act like they was talking about people, but he's talking about a torch. You can't see me reading that?
Nah, I'm seeing two screens with lines going up and down.
Well, you might have to log in and log out because let me see. Okay, hold up. Oh, I forgot. You are seeing something different. Now you can see it.
It's coming up now.
All right. Well, that wasn't it. Now here we got Nubians and agents burning here. So all of these wasn't talking about no people burning, and all of a sudden we think this one talking about burning. Well, let's keep going. Be heated with oil. Be heated. After I had broken up the cities, I set fire to their sites, and they became red hills forever because the destruction they had caused in that part of Egypt. I'm with that. You burnt that shit down. But you didn't say you burnt down. A bull of the divine mother burning in her place. The heat is more consuming than the flame of fire. Your son Horus was burned in the desert in the middle of the palace where there is no water. They talking about the desert, bro. Your son husband burned himself in the desert. You know this story?
Nah, the story doesn't sound familiar.
This is the story when Horus stayed in the desert for too long, burnt himself, and then I think he had to lay with the scorpions, right? Let's look. This is about the scorpions, sleeping with the scorpions. He slept with his wife's his mother's friends who were these scorpions because he got burnt in the desert. Look, be given to the burn. Another incantation. Your son Horus burned himself in the desert. Then Isis came from the interior of the single pool in which there was no water, my mouth of water, my lips were full of the flood. So I came and put out the fire. Okay, so Horus was on fire here. Well, let me make sure this is the same story I thought it was.
But that's not people though. We still ain't reached people yet.
Huh? Yeah, it ain't people. You right. I'm just getting caught up on the tangent. They ain't burn no people. Excrements of hot water. Your son Horus was burnt. Your son Horus was burnt. Be burned. This is a medical text. If somebody got burned or leprosy or suffering, it is a remedy for it. Y'all can clearly see it in the stuff, so I don't have to go in. This is a remedy for leprosy or suffering. Will be burned. All right, this is another remedy, but let's read that one. What will be burned? Make the man drink it. Be placed oil fat. Oh, some oil fats will be burned. Man, they ain't burning no people. We got the one attestation that Chris gave us to see. And
You
we'll
know,
come. Hold on. Will with repeated cutting knives that burn the wicked. Maybe the wicked get burnt by some knives. I don't know. But it do say burn right here. Sebiu. Burn the wicked. Sebiu. Sebiu is the wicked. The rebel, the criminal. But knives don't burn. But if you heat them up, they will. I'm trying to give you some credit.
yeah, man, but I feel like you just rubbed it in on me, man.
Somebody said she tends to burn was in the medical text. That's crazy. Yeah, you will find those gynecological texts too. We really got gynecological texts.
You know, if you just stopped 20 minutes ago, I'd have been cool with it, you know.
I'm just doing this so that we can say that before we say anything authoritatively. Look, the statues are burned, the tombs are destroyed, and the bodies are dead. So they burn the statues, but they're not even burning the bodies.
All right, okay. Fair enough, Smash. You gave me, you did your best. You ain't want to just dismiss it. So
I'm still going. We still looking because you can find an attestation that corroborates what you're saying. And then I'll be like, oh, I didn't look enough. See, we got 8 more pages. I ain't going to do them all, but it's giving us a context of how this term, what badge was used, right? His whole was in flames. See, look, as he burned every foreign land, his whole country probably was in flames as he burned every foreign land with his fiery breath. So that's like a dragon or something. Whatever. They put flesh right here. See, to burn his flesh. You might want to look at this. Their fiery breath to where their breath, if their breath was burning his flesh, then he ain't really getting burned. I think when Chris said they're going to scatter their bodies about in the street after burning them. All right, look. They will be slaves to the flame. What does that mean?
that's a good question.
Look. So that it has power over them and so that their bodies burn. But no.
Yeah,
Catch the context of that. Read it again.
They will be slaves to the flame, to the eye of Ra, to the cat, so that it has power over them, so that their bodies burn.
Now look at this. Read this. Purification and protection ritual. So if I click into this, it's going to refer to the desert. Because it say to the eye of Ra. Let's click into this. It's going to be about some people getting burnt up like Horus did in the desert. But this is people getting burned right here. That's why I told you we can't stop. Let's read what this says. Damn, it's long. Nothing will happen or come out that is done against him by any human being, any member of the Pot people, any member of the Riketi people, any member of the Hemenet. Now these is the Sun people. By foreigners from the south, north, east, or west, or by any man or woman, or any sorcerer, any enchantress whose heart are negative against the Lord, whom's woman bore, who causes any harm, mischief against him in order to transfer him to a god or a goddess to leave him to the god or goddesses. So they're saying who gonna try to kill him, huh? To cause him to eat what is taboo for him, to put his heart in his belly, to let descend from his belly, or to deceive or to confuse his body. They will be slaves to the flame, to the eye of Ra, to the cat. So they're gonna get burned. Has the power over them so that their bodies burn. Well, this is just a curse that Ra's supposed to burn them. Am I wrong? That they be slaves to the flame, to the eye of Ra, to the cat, whatever that is, so that it has power over them, and so that their bodies burn. Ra's supposed to burn them, bro.
Yeah, but that's mythological though. That's not the same context I was talking about.
This is protection, a protection spell. That if they do all this stuff and they come against them, then Ra gonna make their bodies burn. We talk about people sacrificing people and burning them.
I agree with you.
But that was a good one, and I want to keep note of that. That's during the period of Ramses II that we find some type of ode to bodies being burned. Look, the whole surroundings were in flames, and he burned every foreign land with his breath. That's mythological. My rays, they burned the flesh of the enemies. That's mythological. Your rays, your sun rays. But still, people getting burnt. Then a fiery blast has come to burn his flesh. This is the same Kadesh poem. My rays, this is Ra. If anyone said to approach him, then burn his flesh. Okay, let's read this. Oh, he's still talking to Ra, bro. This is the same Ramses. Kadesh battle. But still, though, I'm with you that the concept was not foreign and is appearing in poems. It had to appear in real life at one point. My rays burn the flesh of the enemies. Now we're getting a lot of burnt flesh during the time period of Ramses. I will burn your corpse. Now we having it happen, bro. If you do not leave the temple, oh no, this is another curse. This is a curse. All of these are curses. Notice something, that the metaphor of burning a human is in their mental plane arena. You know what I'm saying? So somebody did get burned. You ain't wrong. Because you're not having this metaphor without it actually ever occurring, bro. See what I mean?
That's almost like when you get mad at somebody and you tell them you hope they burn in hell.
Well, that never occurred. And we do have that metaphor. So now you just messed it up. I was giving you some credit, but you just gave me an instance that debunked me. You debunked me while I was giving you credit.
No. I understand, but what I'm saying is, if it's in a magical text, that's like saying they want somebody to burn in hell.
You're right, but you could say someone's going to burn in hell, and we never ever experienced hell. So if following that logic, they could say they'll burn a corpse, and they never ever burned a corpse.
Okay.
But let's just stick to the literal. We take everything else literal. So if you say, I will burn your corpse, I will deafen your ears, and your pleas, I will cause you to be seized. First, before we click into this, he is saying, I'm going to burn your literal body. The other one, we had the sun burning the bodies. Now, this entity, if we find out that this is Ra, it's going to be the same thing. But this is not going to be rock because it says a spell for headaches. So what we're going to get revealed is that this still ain't what we think it is. Like this is a threat or something. A divine ram put in a hand out, spit the fiery breath. There you go. See? Look, the divine ram in the places upon your head, spitting out their fiery breath that caused you to leave the head of the Inin, born in Inin like Osiris. If you do not leave the temple of Inin, born your blood, man, this is all a curse. They didn't really get burnt, bro. Everything we looking at seems to be a curse.
All right.
I'm trying to help.
Listen, Smash, as I said, the fact that I'm actually here in the game, being able to be corrected is still an improvement for me because I wasn't even this far a few months ago to be able to.
Oh man, don't be hard on yourself, dude.
No,
I could
no,
be hard on you, but don't be hard on yourself. You doing
it's not
good.
about it's not about me being hard on myself. It's about me understanding it's okay to be wrong because of the fact that I actually am in the game enough to recognize some text to be able to look at it and be able to read it to even draw the conclusion. And I wasn't doing that a few months ago. So I'm okay with being wrong.
I am too.
Because at least I have my reason as to why I say that. As opposed
and
to
you
just
pointed out something to me too. And I would say that if somebody asked me to ask did it occur, I probably would say on the outskirts of society because they had a concept of it. Right? She will burn your flesh and cut off your fingers. They're talking about a magical stella with Horus, but if this concept still keeps occurring, they have a concept of burning flesh. Look, it says old lady with fiery face. This is still mythological, but it's one who burns the ones of bad character. So if the god burnt somebody a bad character, then somebody who was acting like a god burnt somebody a bad character. I'm gonna say that you got something to your argument. You were just basing it on some weak sources at first.
all right, I'm good with that. I could accept that.
Look, when the eye of a living person sees him, they die, catch fire, and their heart is burned. This is still mythology. It's an illustrated magical papyrus, but in their magic, people getting burnt. Maybe starting a fire was kind of magical to some people at a point. How you start a fire in ancient Egypt?
That's a good question.
This is about being bitten by a scorpion. You will not burn in the limb of any bitten one. She burns your limbs. This is another scorpion, a ritual of the felon self. Interesting. In her blast of fire. Well,
But at least you the text.
as you see, remember we was gonna stop reading these, and then we would have thought that concept wasn't well and alive. But as we continue to read, the concept of burning, we could argue it is well alive. So that even if we don't find no attestation of nobody being burned, you find the concept. And you trying to tell me nobody didn't try it? Every concept got tried at one point. I mean, it didn't have to become a custom. I'm trying to be logical, bro.
Oh man, I'm cool, you know. Because I realize, man, I'm putting out some good content on my page, and I set out to do what I said I was going to do, which is read.
Tell the
some
people
text.
what your channel is.
Solomonic TV, SOLOMONIC TV, and you'll see a picture of King Tut on it.
Okay.
So I did. Oh, if you check, I did a video with Titan TV recently.
Look.
Yeah, so I broke
But look, check this one out. 4th century. Now we up into the 4th century BC. but eliminated, executed, and burned are all the enemies of the Pharaoh, whether they are dead or alive. You said burned alive, right? I think this the one that if Uric got a better one than this, this probably what Uric was gonna give you. Because he said he had a good one and he put the link up in the chat. I just didn't click it. Look, but eliminated, executed, and burned are all the enemies of the Pharaoh. Let me click what he put up in the chat to see if it's the same thing. That one is the one you need to be working with if you're gonna build that argument. Let me see. I'm trying to read this last one you just sent. Let's see. Uh-oh. He had them killed and he had them thrown into the fire in the presence of Moot, who is under the mast of Heliopolis. Uh-oh. What you say, Joey? Joey, what you say?
They say he had them killed first.
But the other one said they burned alive. Man, if I was you, if that was my research, I would not let this last source get past me. This right here. Late funerary liturgies. The what is this? Bremner Rind, the fourth book of the Bremner Rind. This still the fourth book of the overthrow of Apophis, but you might can make something work with that. They had them burned dead or alive. See the word Moot M-Ak? Moot M-Ak? You could go into the dead or alive. Dead and alive. I mean, you know. Where's the word for burn? Where's the word for burn? There it goes, the highlight word. That motherfucker might threw some motherfucker in the Fisnire place. The burning one. Well, get rid of them how you got to. Just stop messing with me, man. Flames burned his enemies. Look, this is happy. I can't do that. I think Uric just came with the best one, and then I had one right before that. So I'm not strong enough to argue against those sources and to be like, no, they didn't burn no people. At first, what you presented was shabby, and then as we continued doing the research, it started to build a case for itself, as it appears. You see what I'm saying? Like, you see too many attestations that say that. Why would you go against that? You're going to have to refute all them attestations. So how you feel?
Right, man. I'm gonna go into the text and see if I could actually see them burning people alive.
So James said he was disappointed, but James, it started looking like he wasn't all the way right. He wasn't all the way out. We had a lot of them where they was mythologically burning people, and so I already know if you're gonna be mythologically burning somebody did this shit in real life. All right. So, is that useful to anybody? It ain't useful to me. Like, I ain't even tripping. I don't know what made that arise from our initial inquiry. Why did we start talking about that on the other show?
Because you're talking about civilization, you talk about certain behaviors, so I just brought it up now. As I said, if I'm wrong, I'm going to apologize.
Oh, no, I don't think you need to be using that type of language. I'm simply saying, if we say that we're discussing this about the conversation of civilization, and we now agree that you just don't burn people, right? And they got burnt at some period in time, that those people were uncivilized? Is that the argument? Like, I'm trying to see what it is.
See, but what the point I'm making is that ancient Kemet was a civilization. And when they do certain things, we look at today and say it seems like atrocious behavior, but they have a reason behind why they might do those things.
Yeah, they had their own
That's only
agreement it was a temporal agreement that has expired. Right? The whole sacrifice was a part of civilization at one point.
yeah, but once again, when they talk about, as they say, when they talk about human sacrifice, to a certain extent, that's a kind of hard thing to prove in ancient
But
Kemet
hold
because they showed
on,
one little
man.
sad
I don't care.
occurrence
I
of what they
don't
think might
care.
be
I
human.
like to, bro. We gotta have these terms right because we wasn't even talking about sacrifice. Now we can start talking about sacrifice, meaning I don't know what people think, but it might sound crazy. But if you burn somebody and that's your way of extinguishing those people, it's not always a sacrifice. Those people
I'm
are a
not.
What I mean is
I'm
this.
not saying that's.
Go ahead.
I'm saying that they showed one instance of someone being killed, and they say they think it might have been a ritual sacrifice, but they're not sure what it was.
Yeah, but that's gonna be a whole
apparently
nother
one instance
conversation. That could be
in the
popping
earth.
too. You're right, but that's just another conversation. Like people could have got burnt and they didn't expect any unworldly results from that burning those people, then that ain't no sacrifice. You feel me? It might be a sacrifice to the person getting burnt, like I'm gonna sacrifice myself for the greater good of my people. But from the person doing the burning, if he don't expect no other result besides that person being dead, then that's just a way to kill a person.
I agree, but I'm just saying it's a sketchy depiction, and they're not sure exactly what it was.
A
It could
sacrifice
have just been a
is,
dude getting killed. And
all right, let's say this. If they put them on the altar and they burnt them and they raised their hands up to the cosmos like, yeah, Amun Ra, give me some more power because I just sacrificed these fools, then that's a sacrifice. Or something's going to happen after I kill these people in a particular way.
Right. But my argument was that was a punishment for them doing something wrong. So
that's a harsh and cruel punishment, and I'm with you on that. I think it's a harsh and cruel punishment.
But that's the point I was trying to. That's the point I was trying to make. So
yeah, well, allow me to agree.
So I don't. So if I'm gonna make a bad argument, at least let me state the proper bad argument.
Yeah, I don't believe it was just. It turns out it wasn't that bad. It turns out that's why we look shit up, bro, to see if it's a bad argument or not. And if you finally got some more sources that help to corroborate your claim, then why is you referring to it as a bad argument? It could be worded different or framed differently. But the initial inquiry, did ancient Egyptians burn people alive? You got a text that say alive and burned that we didn't have when we started this show. So I wouldn't say that that's a bad thing. Your argument is stronger now, I think.
All right, I appreciate that so much. I appreciate that.
Well, it's just saying to be that way. If you didn't, because now when you talk about it, you got these other sources you about to show people, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what could they say?
That's a good thing.
It's probably more.
Well,
if you finish the research, it's probably more, bro. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Nah, well, as you said, it has some saying burn dead and alive, but we need to dig a little deeper into the concept to see exactly what we're talking about. So if I find it, I'm definitely going to do a show on it.
Let me put it back on the screen if we still got it up. The one to look into and read the whole story and get all the knowledge on, they clearly said dead and alive. It was like Moot M. You could put the meta-netter up. It was Moot M. Ankh. Right? Let's see if we can find it. And here go another one. The one you put. What about this one? he had them killed and had them thrown into the fire in the presence of Moot. I just don't like that it was in the presence of Moot, but I feel that, who is under the mast of Heliopolis. So basically, someplace in Heliopolis where the Moot statue was, he burnt these foods.
Yeah, I think he put that source in. I think he put that source in the back chat too.
Yeah, well, make sure you use that one if you're going to form this into an argument. This is the 26th dive. This is a literary text. I don't know how that would change anything. A literary text ain't real, is it?
All right.
What else is coming up in the category?
That's the liturgy text. So
I'm asking y'all. Literature.
that means funeral text.
Literature. Literary. See, they got satires.
No, it says liturgy.
Oh, it said lethargy? I'm sorry. Thank you for fixing that for me.
Yeah, funeral.
Oh, okay. Lethargy. Let me see. Yeah, okay.
Liturgy text. So that means funeral text.
Yeah. I was saying literary.
Is that?
That's what it looked like to me.
Oh, it does say literary text.
That's what it looked like to me,
so
sir.
I was reading it wrong.
Huh?
No, it does say literary text. My bad. I'm tripping. It does say that. So you're absolutely correct.
So let's look right here. Now the categories of these texts. Let's just look. Stories is one of the categories of these texts. Speeches and dialogue. So he could have been given a speech would mean it was probably real. A story could be true. I don't know what this is. But we also got satires, miscellaneous, epistolary teachings, and then we got poetical literature. Now, if I click in the poetical literature and then the category we're looking for pops up. Look, am I wrong? As soon as I clicked in it, it said literary text. So they said literary text is under the category of poetic literature. But that doesn't mean that this literary text of poetical lyric isn't true. But it's in the category of hymns to the gods, whatever this is, royal anthems, love songs, city anthems, and chariot hymns. I'm not trying to discredit it. Feel me? So I'm just trying to know what we're working with.
No, but it seems like according to them, they're not taking that as something to be true. They're taking it just to be a story that somebody told.
Well, when I click poetic, I know
based on what we're seeing there.
They got one for all of them. They have a literary text for each category as appearing. Nevertheless, it's cool. We could look all day, but I don't think we did enough on that to know that you wasn't completely making something up. Yeah.
Right.
Because I need to eat lunch or something. I did 2 streams today. And shout out for the people who gave contributions to this show. I seen 2 hours ago, MTT Senior contributed $10. I didn't get to say nothing. So I was tripping. Shout out to everybody else who be sending the cash apps. Get it popping. Go ahead.
I appreciate it, Smash.
Yeah, it was a good. I didn't know much about it, so I wanted to probe the question to see just from primary text what we could pull out of it. And they were saying shit about burning people all over the text, but it was all mythological. But still, if we keep on saying we shoot people in all our raps, right? Then they find our raps in the future and they say they're mythological. That mean that they ain't really true. They still gonna know people was getting shot, right?
That's true.
So I would say it must have occurred sometimes, but I haven't found anything to make me think that it was some central practice like that just happened throughout the ages of ancient Egypt. But thanks for allowing me to probe that question. I'm gonna go and get up out of here. You got any closing words?
All right. No, thanks a lot for going through it. I think I'm gonna look through it and see what I can find.
Yeah, word up.
And if I find anything, I'll do a show on it.
Peace. That's what's up. All right. Yeah, I mean, so I mean, I would just say they probably had something going on that was kind of looking like that, right? That's what it looked like. You read enough stuff where they talking about he got burned over here, he got burned over there. That was probably like they nuclear bomb on somebody. Boom. You know when you drop a bomb on somebody, everybody get burned or obliterated to pieces. Don't get it. Don't think that you gotta have a match and a forest fire. How quick the incineration happens, it's still burning. Incinerated just means hella quick. You got burnt so quick, it was like, phew. Well, I learned something today. I hope y'all did too. That's what we like to do on this show. It helps to hold the show back, but it don't matter because the small group of people like y'all is what I need to know. Is people out there who concerned with this type of subject matter. I don't be tripping. I like talking about everything, but this is what I'm most drawn towards. That knowledge, that information on that particular subject. All right. That was a good look. I want to say peace to everybody. I'm going to deal with my family and have some fun.